Greetings, everybody, and a warm welcome to you from Managua in Nicaragua. Oh, boy. We welcome you to Managua in Nicaragua as our continuing coverage of the Concacaf W Under-17 qualifiers continues. It's the U.S. Virgin Islands, and it is Dominica here in a critical matchup as we highlight Group A action here in Nicaragua today. First game of our doubleheader sees the U.S. Virgin Islands in dire need of a victory against the Dominica side, already eliminated, but a chance to finish off this group phase on a high note. Very excited to see how this all plays out, particularly between two teams that could really get a positive mood going in the right direction at the end of this qualifying round. Again, Sean St. Jacques, our entire crew, happy to have you with us for this first of two. The second game of the day also has quite a bit of importance surrounding it as Belize take on the Dominican Republic. So, best to stick around for both. The group could look quite a bit different. You saw just a brief moment ago where we stand in the group. The hosts Nicaragua are on top. The Dominican Republic have a chance to usurp them if they can beat Belize later on in our second game of the day. Again, Dominica playing their last game of the group stage against the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's the first time these two have ever met at the Concacaf W Under-17 qualifiers. So a little bit of the unknown from that perspective. But what we do know about this particular game is that Dominica have to play for pride at this particular point. They've yet to get any points on the board, so they are out regardless of the result. But they could play a little bit of spoiler for the U.S. Virgin Islands, who still have a slight chance to get into that second place conversation. Remember, the top two second place teams also advance along with the group winners, and there will be 6 group winners when it is all said and done from this round robin of qualifying. We will step aside for just a moment as the two sets of teams make the walk here in Managua, in Nicaragua. The national anthems are coming up next. After that,
damas y caballeros, por favor nos ponemos todos de pie para el himno nacional de Islas Vírgenes Estadounidenses. Damas y caballeros, por favor nos mantenemos todos de pie para el himno nacional de Dominica.
Well, as always, a wonderful rendition of both countries' national anthems as we count down to kickoff at the Concacaf W Under-17 qualifiers. Again, Sean St. Jacques, our entire crew, happy to have you with us for this Group A doubleheader. U.S. Virgin Islands are in predominantly yellow kits with the colorful trim on the front and on the back. And Dominica are in their classic greens with the yellow trim as well. Starting lineups, we begin with the U.S. Virgin Islands. Katie Quinlan's side need a win. There's really not much else they could get at this point to keep themselves alive. A win, and preferably a win by a few goals as well. Trying just to stay somewhat afloat in the battle for second place in the group. You look up top, the likes of Grotzinger and Smith are going to be key to scoring a few goals. That's been the big turning down point for the U.S. Virgin Islands at this tournament. They just have struggled to get consistent opportunities in front of goal. That will have to change, of course, in this tilt here in Managua to give themselves any hope of staying alive going into the final match day for them here in Group A. Remember, there's no VAR, but we've got a great officiating crew on the field, led by Belkis Flores of Honduras. Guatemala and Mexico are also represented amongst our on-field officiating crew. They are in all red and with the black shorts. Saw the captains exchange pleasantries there. Reagan Marshall captains the side for the U.S. Virgin Islands. It is Kelsey Hussey who captains this Dominica side under the tutelage of Rosalia Regis. Here is the full starting 11. You look up top, Whitney Charles, Kezia Challenger, and Zariah Pascal have all made positive impacts at times in this tournament. But can the defense sure things up? Sarah May St. Rose, Kiara Schillingford, Charity Carbone. Those will be the players that will have to try and keep the U.S. Virgin Islands off the board and give Dominica their best possible chance to finish out this group stage with a win. As you mentioned earlier, Dominica cannot qualify for the next round. As to this point in the tournament, they have yet to pick up any points. So we will see if Dominica can say so long to the qualifiers in style, get their first goal, possibly their first points on the board. U.S. Virgin Islands in a similar spot, but again, they have an extra game to play later on in the round. So that gives them one last chance at the start of next month. February 1st, they play Belize. So there's still, at least mathematically, slight mathematical chance that with a win, they could possibly stay alive. Dominica will get us started here in Nicaragua. They'll be going from right to left. First of two here in Group A, and we're excited to see how it all plays out. It's the penultimate match day in the group. February 1st is the final match day where all things will be settled. Again, only the top group winners advance, but there's that 2 second-place teams that can get through as well, which still adds a bit of jeopardy to the potential outcome of this match. Sean St. Jacques, our entire crew, as always, it is great to be with you. And we're, of course, very intrigued to see how this one will play out here in Group A. It has been tough sledding for both of these teams. Have not scored a goal yet, have not picked up any points. But again, that could all change very quickly. And Dominica are on the front foot here inside the opening 35 seconds. and they have a corner on the far side. Zariah Pascal's had some good moments at this qualifying round so far, puts in a good ball. Chance to maybe get the header on target there, but the U.S. Virgin Islands are just about able to clear it, at least initially, on this near side. Dominica try to follow up with a cross into the middle, and it goes out of play. It's a goal kick. Carlos Osorio, who's also had some positive moments in goal for the U.S. Virgin Islands. You feel that you'll have to stand tall once again today. If the U.S. Virgin Islands will have a chance. They'll have a chance to move this ahead. On the far side, there are yellow shirts queuing up in the middle, but the challenge from behind slows all of that down for the moment. Now a push and a chase down the far side, and the cross takes a big deflection, and it's going to roll out of play. It's a corner on the far side. Pretty good end-to-end action in these opening 2 minutes. A chance for Dominica from a corner. They couldn't take advantage of it. Now it's the U.S. Virgin Islands' turn. They're trying to provide some strong service into the 18-yard box here. It's going to be headed out of play. U.S. Virgin Islands will get a second try at the corner. Take two. He's headed high into the air again. Now headed to the outskirts of the area where Dominica will clear their lines. But it's quickly one back. Mia Williams has also had a strong tournament at times. Helped to recycle it. It's a miscued kick and another corner. Oh, Reagan Marshall lines up yet another set piece. Oh, and it does squeak all the way through. It's popped up into the air. The volley is in, and the U.S. Virgin Islands have scored. Celine Del Rosario with the finishing touch. And inside of 4 minutes, the U.S. Virgin Islands score their first goal of the qualifiers and take a 1-0 lead. Well, Dominica did not get anything on the initial ball in. It's popped up into the air, and Del Rosario cannot believe her luck. It falls so kindly to her, and she finishes it marvelously into the back of the net. What a moment.
Anotación por la selección de Islas
A
Vírgenes,
moment where
Estados
all of that
Unidos.
hard work and tough times that the
Número
U.S.
3.
Virgin Islands have had in these qualifiers
Celine
seemingly
Del
pays
Rosario.
off.
Al minuto
Incredible
4.
celebrations and reactions to a wonderful Celine Del Rosario finish. Well, now Dominica's turn to come back up the other end. Ooh, but the offside flag is up on the far side, and that will end that attacking sequence. Oh, what did we say at the top of the broadcast? We said that the U.S. Virgin Islands have not really been able to create a whole lot yet in this tournament. Well, it didn't take them too long to fix that. Now Dominica's pressure here. Did that ball roll over the end line? It did not. Now it rolls over the sideline, and it's a throw-in for the team in green. From the throw-in, that's going to be a touch out of play, and the U.S. Virgin Islands will reset. Well, if the first 5.5 minutes are any indication, we could have quite a few chances in this game. It's been rather end-to-end so far. Credit to Del Rosario for finishing beautifully off that set piece. And remember, Dominica had a set piece as well just before that where they nearly got a shot on target. So for those that prefer a more attacking style of game, we're off to a pretty rip-roaring start. And now the channel could open up on this far side for the U.S. Virgin Islands, but more support is needed to continue the move. And Dominica do not allow them to continue the move, and they might be able to break up the other end here. But it is well recovered defensively on that far side, and the U.S. Virgin Islands have a free kick. Nia Williams, we highlighted her earlier, has really had some positive defensive moments at this tournament. Add that one to the list. The U.S. Virgin Islands are on the prowl again here on the edge of the penalty area. That's a shot! Oh, and it bounces in! The captain, Reagan Marshall, leads the celebrations. I don't think Augustine in goal got the best look on that, reacts a little bit too early, and it bounces over and in for a 2-0 lead.
Anotación por la selección de Islas Vírgenes estadounidense. Con el número 11.
What's the old saying? Sometimes buses never seem like they're going to come, and then two come in very quick order. An early 1-2 punch for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Another look, Dominica again had a brief moment there where they could have cleared it. There's the early reaction from the goalkeeper, and it bounces over the outstretched arm and in. A captain's goal for Marshall and a 2-0 lead for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Again, you feel for Deanne Augustine, just was a bit premature in the extension of that arm and her lunging for the ball. But how many times do we say this? Goalkeepers that commit, you have to get something on it, whether it's a shot or a cross. And unfortunately, from Augustine's point of view, she did not get anything on it. And the confidence is flowing for the U.S. Virgin Islands. They're on the prowl again here. And that miscued kick. That time Augustine was ready and is able to corral it off the Stedman miscue. Williams loses out. It's quickly recovered by the U.S. Virgin Islands, playing it out to this far side. Lovely little dink down the far sideline yet again. Chance to maybe cut in field here. Instead, it's a reverse ball further down the line. And eventually it does trickle out of play. It's a throw-in going Dominica's way. A lovely switch of play into the middle. But it is recovered and cleared by Ricara Prescott. West Virgin Islands look for another here. It's a decent run through two defenders. Eventually it is recovered and cleared. But then a foul is called on the follow-up. And it's a free kick for the U.S. Virgin Islands, just like that. Talk about a swift start. Del Rosario in the 4th minute. 3 minutes later, Marshall bounces another in. And they're on the prowl again, but that long distance shot did not have enough venom in it. Augustine corrals. just floated over the top. Ooh, it's played back for Osario's in a tough spot there. Just about gets it clear out of the 18-yard box. Talked about how it's the first ever meeting between these two teams. Now there's a slight bit of jeopardy as far as the next round is concerned on this game, because if the U.S. Virgin Islands win, they could get up to 6 points if they were to win out. However, they'd have to get a lot of help, particularly from the Dominican Republic. Of course, the DR plays in our second game, and a win for them would eliminate U.S. Virgin Islands. And of course, I should have mentioned this as well. We mentioned this briefly earlier. The tiebreaker is heavily against the U.S. Virgin Islands coming into this game. We talked about them having to win by a few goals as the offside flag goes up. There's so many goals that would have to be made up for them to have a tiebreaker advantage against anybody left in contention. But points-wise, they can get to a very respectable 6. But then again, the DR would have to lose their last 2 games to get into second place. And again, the tiebreaker being factored in, it'd have to be by quite the margin in the opposite direction for both teams, really, from how they started. That certainly has not stopped these teams from bringing their A game at the start of this one, particularly the U.S. Virgin Islands in front of goal. Well, good tussle in the middle of the park. The U.S. Virgin Islands have it. Through ball onto this near side is kept in play, but Dominica have possession, and they'll get a throw in as well. That was well recovered by Dominica defensively after the goal scorer, Del Rosario, tried to make some headway down this near side. U.S. Virgin Islands doing well to swarm the ball there. They won it back for a brief moment. They're forced to retreat in the end, however. Oh, and that's going to be a deflection here. It's a potential giveaway. Dominica could be in behind here. It's a lovely touch, but too firm of a touch, allowing the U.S. Virgin Islands to clear. Chance to get a second opportunity at it. It pinballs around, and eventually the U.S. Virgin Islands clear their lines. A follow-up shot, really, is blocked. And eventually the referee stops it. It's going to be a free kick for Dominica at the end of all of that. It's going to be Whitney Charles to take the free kick. And she's going to send it right towards goal, and I think that's exactly what the U.S. Virgin Islands were hoping for there. Kyla Osorio has no trouble with it. She has had, at times, a very strong and stable tournament. She's on the prowl again here. Off her line, gets there first. Another good defensive challenge to win it back. The ball is cut out by Carbone on this near side. couple of wicked ricochets. The U.S. Virgin Islands pick it back up in Dominica's half. It's the outside. And a clean shoulder-to-shoulder challenge wins it back. That's a brilliant ball played down the far side. Green shirts joining into the attack. It's an early cross. It nearly deflects through. Challenger lays it off. The shot is deflected. Oh, and nearly into the path of a teammate. But again, Osorio sweeps it up. Another takeaway. Through ball, however, is cut out. One team that you won't see in action is actually the team that's currently at the top of the group, Nicaragua, who are the hosts. Every team gets a day off during these round-robin qualifiers in a 5-team group, so Nicaragua's turn today to take an extra couple of days off. And we will see them on the final match day here in Managua. They'll play the Dominican Republic, and if the DR wins later on tonight in our second game, that game will decide who wins the group. And of course, those are the two teams that have the best chance of either winning the group or being one of the top second-place teams to advance as well, if the DR can take advantage of their game later tonight and take down a Belize side that's coming off a 3-0 win over Dominica just a couple of days ago, and they will be filled with confidence after that. Belize still have 2 games to play as it stands right now as well. They could get up to 9 points still in this group. So they are the other team to kind of watch out for if they can pull off an upset later on tonight. We'll be keeping a sharp eye on that. Look there at Katie Quinlan, the U.S. Virgin Islands head coach. Didn't show it there, but my goodness, she must be smiling inside with the way this game has started. And her team's got a free kick as well in the middle of their own half. It was Pascal who, again, has had some very positive moments at times for Dominica in this group stage. That was the right idea, threading it down this near side, looking for Del Rosario. But it was zipped in there with too much pace. Should mention one of the other issues. You may have noticed it when we went through the lineups earlier that the U.S. Virgin Islands have had to deal with so far, and they're sort of in their own company with this, is that they only have 1 substitute available. That's basically been the case the whole tournament. They've just been lacking that depth for one reason or another, as Augustine comes out to get that for Dominica. Particularly with the amount of games they've had to play in such a short period of time, that could just wear you down. As Dominica's in behind here, 1v1, but it's a loose touch on the back end, and it allows Osorio to come and claim it. Well, there was a glimmer. Could have allowed Dominica to get right back into the contest. And now the U.S. Virgin Islands come up the other end, but the offside flag is up, and that will bring the sequence to a halt. Again, that ball's played down the far side, but same result. Offsides is the decision, and the right decision from the assistant referee. Stedman will take the free kick for Dominica in search of a goal that could get them back into this contest. That's touched out of play. It's a throw-in on the far side. I mentioned it earlier, first time these two teams have met. The Under-17 Concacaf Women's Qualifiers. It's the first time since at least the 2018 tournament that the U.S. Virgin Islands have faced two Caribbean teams in the same group in any round of the competition. They lost at the time in 2018 to Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada. Chance to get their first win against Caribbean opposition if this result were to hold at any stage of this competition. And for Dominica, it's the third time they're facing Caribbean opposition in the history of the tournament. Again, it's across all phases. They did beat the British Virgin Islands back in 2015 by 2-1. Last time they played a Caribbean team that was 2023. It was a 4-1 defeat at the hands of Bermuda. Nicely swept up there by Nia Williams, and then is able to continue the move forward with the help of a couple of her teammates. An early cross into the middle is cut out. It's then touched out for a U.S. Virgin Islands throw. It's going to be a long-distance shot. After it was knocked down by Augustine, she's able to claim it. Pretty good amount of venom and velocity in that attempt, but that time Augustine was more than prepared. Played down the line towards the byline here on the far side. And did it take a deflection there? Looks like it did. And the U.S. Virgin Islands will get another corner. The goal scorer, Marshall, take yet again, and this time it is cleared away, no nonsense, by Dominica. Early cross back to the edge of the area. Oh, it's brilliantly placed, but the shot does not come off. Augustine, oh, and then it's cleared off a defender, and it's out for a goal kick. What a mad scramble this was. The ball back into the middle was perfect. The first touch, not so much. Augustine gets a touch onto it, and then it's deflected off a U.S. Virgin Islands player trying to follow up on it, and it goes out for a goal kick. Stedman defensively did just about enough. After Augustine did get something on it, credit for that, but could not fully corral it. Dominica defensively are just about able to handle it as we go into a first half cooling break here in Managua. Wow, what a wild sequence that was. When that initial ball was played in, it looked destined for the U.S. Virgin Islands to capitalize on it and turn it into a 3-0 lead, but that miscued touch by Kyla Grotzinger opened the door for Dominica to clear it. And credit to them, they did just about find a way out of that situation, and it will be a goal kick on the reset. But look back at this first half so far. It has come down to the clinical finishing from the U.S. Virgin Islands. The first goal from Celine Del Rosario off a corner kick routine that saw Dominica not quite be able to clear it initially. Del Rosario took full advantage at the back post and volleyed it in the 4th minute to give the U.S. Virgin Islands their coveted lead. And then just a couple of minutes after that, 7th minute, Reagan Marshall, a captain's goal, bounced in from quite some distance. One that Augustine did not read properly. It goes in, and the U.S. Virgin Islands have their current 2-0 advantage. Dominica have had a couple of chances in the middle of all that before the first goal was scored. They had a corner, they had a chance to head it on target, it did not work out. And then they did have a brief 1v1 opportunity with Kyla Osorio, the U.S. Virgin Islands goalkeeper, able to snuff it out. So Dominica have had a couple of big chances as well. They've just not found the finishing touch yet. Charles puts the ball back into play. The U.S. Virgin Islands quickly retrieve it. It's Del Rosario down this near side, and she wins a throw. And it's threaded down this near side. First time ball into the middle. He's going to roll out of play. Del Rosario trying to turn provider on that particular instance. From the goal kick, it's touched out of play. It'll stay with Dominica, just in front of their own technical area on the near side. It's going to be poked down the line. U.S. Virgin Islands are able to scoop this up. The cross is blocked. It's still up for grabs. And it is briefly won back, but touched out for a throw. And great defensive recovery by Stedman. Called her name out a couple of times. And Sari Stedman is able to do the defensive duties there and stop another U.S. Virgin Islands attack. Now can Dominica move it back down the other end and get some more attacking opportunities? There's still 15 minutes plus stoppages left in the half. Challenger played that square. It's Pascal who tried the long distance shot, but it is spooned over the top. Zariah Pascal has not been afraid to try to make it happen for Dominica in the final third. I have to commend her effort that we've seen throughout the tournament in these qualifiers. Still a chance for Dominica to maybe move this up ahead. But as soon as I say that, they're dispossessed, and it could open up here for the U.S. Virgin Islands if they keep this in play, which they have. But then that incisive pass in behind sees a player caught offside. It nearly worked out. I will say that was a bit of a tighter decision than the ones we've seen earlier, but it did look like that final attacker just straight offside. Not by much, but certainly by enough. On the turn, that's a lovely pass in behind. And the shot! Oh, it's just a whisker wide. Brilliant, brilliant feed. In behind, Pascal was the beneficiary and drags it just wide. Another look, gorgeous feed in behind. Pascal makes the right decision, I think. Takes it on first time before the angle really closed down on her. Just could not put it on target. And that is a rare moment, at least in the last 5-10 minutes, where the U.S. Virgin Islands have been let off the hook there. And again, take nothing away from the service in behind. It was put on a plate for Pascal, who just could not put it on target. I think that was the best move we've seen from Dominica, and they could have another thing coming here. That's going to be a free kick. Ardion's challenge just outside the 18-yard box, and it will be a set-piece opportunity for Dominica here as Challenger is still down. What a surprise. Pascal involved again. Oh, and it was actually a very clumsy challenge. Haven't seen many of those at this qualifying stage to this point, but that was a poor challenge from behind, and Challenger is still down hurting here for Dominica. While Challenger is being looked after here, the U.S. Virgin Islands are getting set for this free kick. I'm sure Dominica are having one or two discussions over how they want to handle this as well. We talked about the U.S. Virgin Islands and their lack of depth. Dominica have a full squad of substitutes available. A Challenger cannot continue here. It is their last game of these qualifiers, so wouldn't be surprised if Rosalia Registe decides to go to her reserves, maybe more often than she has at times at this qualifying group stage. But we'll see how all that plays out. Still a long way to go. And remember, this is just the first of two in Group A tonight, our doubleheader. Belize against the Dominican Republic is our second game. Both teams need to win to try to keep pace at the top of the table. Challenger is able to get back up. We enter the final 10 minutes. Plus stoppage time at the end of the half as Osorio puts everyone where they need to be for the free kick. Wonder if Dominica actually might be down to 10 for this set piece. Challenger is still off the field here. It appears that is the case. Referee has had to back up the U.S. Virgin Islands wall. They were too close to where the ball was placed. And now explaining what they can and cannot do with their arms to protect themselves without picking up a penalty. Whitney Charles is going to stand over this free kick. And the way that she is poised here, would be very surprised if she did not try to score from this. Oh, but she doesn't. She plays it short. However, the U.S. Virgin Islands were not fooled. The follow-up volley is blocked and cleared, but not definitively cleared. It falls back for Charles. She tries to slip it through, and eventually Osorio will collect it. certainly the U.S. Virgin Islands did not take the bait. And Whitney Charles tried to pull a fast one there, played it short. It did not work out. Chance for the U.S. Virgin Islands to bring this up the other end with Del Rosario. It's a lovely cutback, but in the end, she cannot get back on the ball. Well defended. But it's one back here on the near side edge. Centering pass is then blasted towards goal, but there is too much on it, and it's a goal kick. Marshall continues to flow with confidence as this first half moves along. Off the pass from Elizabeth Vega, who did well to win the ball back. Marshall cannot hit the target. Dominica elect to play through some of this high pressure. And they were able to do so rather cleanly here. And off the turn, it's a chance to break up the other end. Our green shirt's over. It's Challenger who is stood up on the edge of the penalty area, and Osorio scoops it up. That challenge needed to be spot on, or Challenger could have been through. That's a dangerous square pass. It's one back by the U.S. Virgin Islands in a dangerous spot here, and they have numbers forward. Eventually, Del Rosario is dispossessed. Challenger. Pass is played back square in the end. Still could open up here on this near side. The square pass for Challenger, who continued to run, was not on target. Now then, Vaville in behind. Again, Challenger tries to follow up, cannot get there. And it is rolled out of play. It is going to be a Dominica throw on this near side, although the U.S. Virgin Islands are perplexed by that decision. Sarah May St. Rose did a solid job on this near side just to try to keep it going. Now the throw-in came up short and immediately goes back out for a U.S. Virgin Islands throw. Marshall up ahead. Could not pick out a teammate. Augustine sweeps it up and clears. The U.S. Virgin Islands kept some numbers forward, however, not able to take advantage of it, and they do give it away. And that throw-in will take us down to the last 5 minutes plus stoppages at the end of the half. See there, both of the goals very early on. Del Rosario and Marshall inside of 7 minutes. Another goal would really put the U.S. Virgin Islands in control going into the halftime break. And it's going to be a foul. Free kick for Dominica. Great step in and timing on the challenge by Whitney Charles. Has had to play up and down the field, it feels like, for Dominica in this first half. And has taken their set pieces as well. So she's had quite a responsibility in this game so far, and really in this tournament, in these qualifiers. plays it back in. Prescott loses out. Again, the U.S. Virgin Islands have a chance here in transition. It's a good run here towards the byline. And the cross is very well placed, maybe too close, however, to the goalkeeper, Augustine. It did look like it was going to veer a little bit further out to the edge of the 6, but Augustine reads it perfectly and is able to collect it. That through ball is cut out. Del Rosario, a 1-2, but the pass back to her is going to be intercepted. That's also nearly a takeaway. It's one back for Stedman on this near side, still has work to do. And does pick out a nice ball in behind here, about the halfway line. But eventually the U.S. Virgin Islands retrieve it. Cross in behind is cut out. Feels like both teams at times in this first half have been 1 or 2 passes away from really making a move count in the final third. But a late interception or a miscued pass has come back to hurt both teams at times in their build-up. Del Rosario tries a first-time ball in. It's kept in by Augustine, who is able to corral it. Dominica clear it after a great initial work by Nia Williams. Osorio has to be careful here, does get it away. He's further cleared up the line. And then touched out of play. What's last off a Dominica defender. It'll stay with the U.S. Virgin Islands. Another good defensive step. First time ball played across by Del Rosario, maybe too early of a ball in behind. But it's one back again by the U.S. Virgin Islands. Final minute of normal time at the end of the half. Oh, it was played across, but the run was halted by the penalty spot. It was not continued on, and it fizzles out of harm's way. That was Tyson, lovely touch past the defender, played it across, but nobody committed to making the run any further. And it will be Charles to send it forward. It's going to be a foul, I think, here. We enter one added minute at the end of the half. I wonder if that was handled as the ball was played over the top. The player for the U.S. Virgin Islands who jumped up to get it did raise her arms in the air. Must have come off an arm. That ball does sneak all the way through. Goalkeeper did not commit. Now she does, but doesn't get enough of the ball here. Pascal trying to fight her way through, but it's cleared away right at the end. Well, a rare moment where Kyla Osorio did not commit quickly enough off her line. Did get a piece of it. Pascal beats her, then has to get past 2 more defenders, and it's none other than Nia Williams who gets the critical block with the goal gaping behind her. What a huge defensive intervention. It's one back and cleared, but not definitively yet. Whitney Charles tried to volley it, and Osorio will collect it. And before she has a chance to clear it away, the first half ends. Wow. A couple of big, late first half chances for both teams, really. The U.S. Virgin Islands see a couple of build-up moments fall apart at the end. Dominica then had a huge chance with Pascal up the other end. She was just outnumbered right at the end of the sequence. There were some choppy moments in that first half, but there was also some wonderful, free-flowing moments of football as well. The two early chances that were taken, however, by the U.S. Virgin Islands have them leading by 2-0. So we'll take a break here. We'll have highlights and stats to come after that at the half. Islands and Dominica.
on this next side netting.
Welcome back, everybody. Sean Seaton, Jacques, our entire crew. Happy to have you with us. Moments away from the start of the second half. The first of two in Group A at the Concacaf Women's Under-17 Qualifiers. Looks like Dominica are preparing a triple change at the start of this second half. And it looks like all three of them are pretty defensive changes. One's a goalkeeping change. Jeremiah Charles is going to be in for Deanne Augustine. Nikayla Daru is in for Charity Carbon, and then Wendella Auguste is going to replace Kiara Schillingford. So that's a triple swap for Dominica, hoping to maybe shore up a few things defensively. That seems to be the idea from Rosalia Regis. So we will see how that unfolds here in the second half. The U.S. Virgin Islands are leading by 2-0. Both of the goals came in the first 7 minutes of the game. So we will see who can build off of some positive moments in the first half.
Sale con el número 12, Deanne Augustine. Entra con el número 1, Sermaya Chávez.
Of course, teams switch sides at the start of the second half.
Con el número 18,
are in green, they're going from left to right.
Entra con el número 17, Wendella Auguste.
Here is Pascal on the near side for Dominica. Tried to feed it in for Challenger. It's behind her and cleared away.
Entra con el número 3, Carlos. Al minuto 46.
An early ball in behind is going to be swept up and cleared out. And the U.S. Virgin Islands, who've had the better of it, no questions about that, will get a throw in. They've been more clinical in front of goal. They could have added a few more if it wasn't for some strong Dominica defending. Again, Dominica had 2 or 3, dare I say, golden opportunities, and they could create another one here with Pascal. But she is, well, dispossessed on that pass in behind. Again, try to link up with challenger here. Here come the U.S. Virgin Islands again, a little push and a chase. Del Rosario and her constant pressure is going to yield a corner. And again, for the U.S. Virgin Islands, with just the one player available off the bench, there's really not much Katie Quinlan can do. Has to kind of ride with the starters and hopefully get them through most, if not all, of the 90 minutes. Chloe Nunez, who's listed as a goalkeeper, is the only player on the bench. Dominica clear it away not once but twice. And Kezia Challenger trying to keep the attack moving on the counter, but the U.S. Virgin Islands recover enough numbers in time. Daru with the long throw. And it'll stay with Dominica. She'll try it again on the far side. Again, Dominica still in search of their first goal, their first points. It's their last game here in Group A. They will bow out after this game is over. So I'd love to at least check off a few of those boxes on the way out. U.S. Virgin Islands did well there. They turned the ball back into their favor possession-wise, but sort of hinted at this in the first half. A lot of times that's happened, and then that last incisive pass needed to find a teammate, or, you know, just a poorly timed run leading to an offside flag raise. That's really been the difference from the U.S. Virgin Islands being 2-0 up, which they're at right now, and possibly 3 or 4-0 up. They have been that good at times in this match to this point. That's a long distance shot. It is blocked. Another great job to follow up though and keep the move going here. It's played out to this near side. That was Tyson trying to move it ahead. She's dispossessed. And then cannot get the challenge in on Pascal, who keeps on going for Dominica down this near side, not afraid to take on multiple players, but her pass to a teammate comes up short. And then a swing and a miss defensively here, but Dominica do well. They recover and they don't panic in that moment and are able to clear it. Picked back up by Nia Williams. And Williams is not on the same page with Tyson. That's one back nicely. It's Marshall. And Marshall, who scored in the first half, bounces that attempt wide. Well, maybe thought it's a new goalkeeper here in the second half. See if they can handle those long distance attempts. But Marshall did not put it on target to test the new goalkeeper, Charles. But Whitney Charles gives it away off the goal kick. And Vaville's clearance, well, it's more of a desperation attempt. Goes out for a corner. Another chance for Marshall to deliver. And she puts it into a good area. Nobody could get anything on it, however. And Dominica will clear it down the far sideline. That's another missed opportunity. That's a lovely run down that far side to reignite the attacking hopes here. It's going to be a corner on the far side. That's really, really good effort. Not for the first time. Elizabeth Vega has really put in quite a shift so far. Moments like that, just salvaging attacking moments, just keeping it alive or regaining possession in quick manner has been very positive. A swing and a miss on the corner. But then the volley is miscued high into the air and out of play. I think that was Grotzinger who was trying to hit it first time and miscued it. Ooh, that takes a wild ricochet. Foster Pascal, who has a chance to move this ahead. Gallops past 2 challenges. Still trying to fend off Williams, who's not giving up. Pascal continues to fend her off down this near side. Now is double teamed and eventually loses the ball. But then it's won back by Challenger. Challenger tries to slip it through, and in the end, Osorio is there to sweep it up. A couple of nice passes by Challenger in this first 8-9 minutes at the start of the second half, but they have just not quite led to key attacking moments in front of goal. But you could feel that if Dominica can continue to do what they're doing here, continuing to create these chances, it may just yield a big moment that could get them right back in this. 1 or 2 handball appeals come in from the U.S. Virgin Islands technical area. But I think they were going to get the throw either way. Pascal, by the way, is still a bit shaken up from the earlier sequence and is crouched over ever so slightly. She's hunching over a couple of times here now. Hopefully she is okay. They certainly could use more of her attacking prowess as this match moves along. She has been fearless throughout the group stage. Pascal again, dispossessed and upended. Laville tries to follow up, settles for a throw-in, which is taken quickly here towards Challenger. Trying to spin past a challenge and a defender there. Does not quite work out. Now Tyson and Pascal. They go after each other again. And when the dust settles, the referee's awarded a free kick. And it's actually going to take both players to the side here. Doesn't want anything to bubble over as far as the challenges and physicality is concerned. They've given the foul against Tyson here. So Dominica could, if they get enough air underneath this, put it into the box. And Charles does just that. It actually comes up just a little bit short, but Dominica can continue moving this. Pascal on the turn. And again, oh, but the offside flag goes up on this near side. We talked about that earlier. That could be a killer of momentum. And any chance Dominica had of moving that forward is swiftly brought to a halt. Oh, Williams dwelled on it a bit here on this near side. Eventually does clear it away and find a teammate. Great switch of play onto the far side. But it is well recovered by Daru. And did Daru keep it in play? No, she did not. But the U.S. Virgin Islands take the throw in too quickly and concede possession right back. Long distance shot was blocked. Challenger. Faville coming all the way up the field. Challenger fighting off two defenders, loses the ball. It's then volleyed back forward and then pushed ahead by Faville. And despite a couple of heavy challenges on the back end, it's going to be a throw-in to the U.S. Virgin Islands, who do just about enough defensively. Early ball into the middle, looking for Tyson. He's dealt with by Charles, who read it well. That's a swing and a miss. Good turn by Tyson on this near side. Oh, but then the pass square comes up short. And then the pass up ahead to Pascal is not on target. Both teams have struggled a bit in this second half to have long stretches of possession. Pascal does well to close down Williams. And the U.S. Virgin Islands have a throw-in, and we are starting to tick closer to the hour mark here in Nicaragua. Now then, Marshall does well to skip past a couple of challenges. She lets the pass go. She's clipped from behind. And it's going to be a foul and a free kick. Did not look like that there was a yellow card brandished for the challenge, but certainly a talking to for Kelsey Hussey. The two captains locked horns there. And Reagan Marshall, who has liked to take on these long distance attempts throughout the night, does look like she's going to line this one up as well. And Marshall strikes it well. It's palmed away by Charles. Well, that was from about 30 yards out. Reagan Marshall put a lot of oomph behind that. But give credit to Charles in goal, making the stop. Sarmaya Charles was substituted on, beg your pardon, at halftime. That is her biggest save so far since coming into the game. Can be tough to stay ready as a goalkeeper in those moments, but that was a really well dealt with palming away of a well-struck free kick. Now then, Challenger cannot find Pascal. Again, Nia Williams is there to step in front. It's then poked up the line and out of play. No one could get there in time from a Dominica point of view. And it ends up fizzling out. Oh, lovely run through the heart of the Dominica defense here. Challenge stops that run. And then it's played out to the far side. Maybe a chance briefly for a break here. But That is quickly brought to a halt. Dominica still have possession. Challenger. Pascal's calling for it on this near side, holding her run, trying to stay on side. It's played into her feet here. Can Pascal go to work on this near side? Again, that battle with Nia Williams is a really good one to watch. Both are giving everything they've got. The ball's still in play here. Pascal keeps it going. Challenger got the shot away. There was no deflection on it, and it is wide. It's a goal kick as Dominica prepares another change here. That's going to be it for Sarah May St. Rose, who was going to make way here. Shamia Sango is going to take her place. And that leaves Dominica with just one substitution remaining. And might I add, this is a very attacking change. We saw a little bit of Sarah May St. Rose in the attack in the first half, but didn't get on the ball a lot. They'll hope that Sango can change that and help to lead Dominica back into the game, a game that has been at 2-0 for nearly an hour of game time. Another incisive pass through, but again, there's just too much on it. Easy for Charles to clear. I think the best way to kind of sum up the choppiness of the game at times has been the ideas have been great. It's been the final execution after that that's been lacking. As Dominica try to change that here, but it's just crossed into the middle. Nobody there to attack it. Osorio there to claim it. Well, that whistles back out of play. Throw in on the near side. The follow-up. East. Oh, and then Challenger kept it going. First time ball into the middle. It falls for Challenger again. Pascal looks to be offside here and did not control it anyway. Well, the assistant referees have both been pretty busy with those offside flags, and they have gotten everyone spot on to this point. Pascal did so well to hold up her run earlier in a different sequence, that time straight offside. And even if she had stayed onside, the pass was out of her reach. But you do feel the momentum shifting here. Rosalia Regis sees that her team can get back into this. When you look at the offside stats there, that kind of backs up what we were saying. That's the 7th time we've seen an assistant raise the offside flag in 65 minutes of action. Dominica have been caught offside 4 times. Del Rosario and Marshall both scored inside the first 7 minutes. It still has the U.S. Virgin Islands on course for what would be a memorable win, and a win that would take them off the bottom of the group. Challenger putting more pressure on that back line. And as she pushes it forward, it's cleared away. Dominica forced to recycle it in their own half. But they do give it away on that far side. And it's played down the line for Del Rosario. And she's not able to claim it. Well, again, Pascal the target on this near side, just out of her reach. You can see why they're outletting it to her from time to time. Throw in from Nia Williams. And it ends up being cleared back into the U.S. Virgin Islands half. Ardion trying to move it ahead. And, well, she briefly lost out to Pascal, then maybe re-aggravated an injury here. She is struggling to run forward. It's a throw-in for Dominica after all that on the near side. The Dominican Republic will play in our second game against Belize with a chance to go top of the group if they could win and win by a certain amount of goals. That will finish up the day's action here in Group A. Just saw Pascal limping a little bit earlier, bottom of your screen in green. She's still trying to walk it off. Dominica may have to make a tough decision there. They only have one change left. You would take off arguably the best player you've had at these group phases, but if she's not at 100%, it might not matter. So do you stick with Pascal? Do you have to maybe bring on somebody else? The likes of Kermia Frederick, Kayla George, and Nikel Hector are all forwards who are available to come on if they have to make an injury substitution eventually here. The U.S. Virgin Islands on the attack again. Long distance shot blocked away again. Out for yet another corner. Marshall continues to let those long shots fly from the outskirts of the penalty area. Just kind of weaved in and out of a couple of challenges, but was blocked in the end, and now we'll take the corner. And takes it short. And, well, then got closed down and is forced to settle for a throw-in. Well, the difficult part about taking a short corner like that is you have to work really quickly into your action, or you're going to get closed down on, and that's exactly what happened. U.S. Virgin Islands took too long for that to materialize. They can still create something here. Chance on the byline is crossed in. It's blocked away. There's a Dominica player down as they have possession on the edge of their own 18-yard box. That's Anaya Vavil, who is still struggling a bit here, but is able to get back up and try to run that off. 20 minutes plus stoppage time left in our first game of the day. Still feels like the next goal could impact the outcome very greatly on this game. Pascal just keeps on pushing and wins a throw-in on the near side. Williams again with some strong defending. That's been the case all night. And I believe that is going to lead to our second and final cooling break. Well, the score sheet hasn't changed since our last cooling break. It's still 2-0. The goal scorers are still Del Rosario and Marshall. Both have come close to scoring again. Dominica may have had the better of it at times. In this second half, they've had certainly a few very close calls. As far as chances to get back into the game, but that cutting edge, that clinical play that we talk about constantly, the ability to keep your cool in the final third and finish, that has been lacking for Dominica so far. It's not been from a lack of effort whatsoever. They've really continued to force the issue, and they've used fresh legs as well to continue to create opportunities against the U.S. Virgin Islands side that really can't make many, if any, changes from their starting 11. But give credit to Katie Quinlan and her players. The U.S. Virgin Islands have been able to manage the game here for the most part and are still in pole position to pick up 3 points that could keep them on course to getting to 6 points. And if things could go their way the rest of the way, they could finish in a tie for second place, or at least finish in third on a tiebreaker. That is still possible, as we talked about earlier. But all of that could be wiped out if the Dominican Republic win later on tonight. That any chances of the U.S. Virgin Islands finishing higher than third are very much out the window. From the throw, it's poked back out. The cross into the middle flies over everybody's head, but it's still alive. And on the turn, that is going to be given away. A shirt pull as well on the back end by the substitute Sango. And it's a free kick for the U.S. Virgin Islands. That gets looped back over the top. Osorio has had a very clean and confident game in goal. Did really well, though as soon as I say that, she does give the ball away here off the rollout, but her teammates do well to make sure that was not a big issue. That's going to be poked down the line on the far side, but it is miscontrolled by Del Rosario, and it's a giveaway. Well, we said that the U.S. Virgin Islands can make one change. This is the change that they're going to make. Grotzinger is going to make way. And as an outfield player, Chloe Nunez is going to come in. Was listed as a goalkeeper today on the bench of substitutes, but is going to come on as an outfield player. She has also been listed at times in this tournament as a defender. She's going to come on and is going to step into an attacking role, it looks like, at least initially. And that is the only change that Katie Quinlan can make. Well, that's going to be pushed out towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Sardione has to be careful here in defense and has pinned herself back here, nearly giving that ball away. She does give it away, but it's poked out of play on the back end. More great pressure from Dominica on that far side. It's Sango again, but nothing fruitful comes of it. Here is Williams. Down the line for Nunez. And Nunez could not control it off the first touch. Challenger fights through a couple of challenges and is tripped up. Free kick for Dominica. And a set piece in a decent spot here. Remember, Dominica had a pretty good free kick opportunity in the first half. It was within range for a shot. They tried to play it short and play through. It did not work out. Do they maybe test the goalkeeper here? Zariah Pascal will take it. Teammates to aim at, but it's within range for a shot. No questions about that. 4 players in the wall for the U.S. Virgin Islands here. Pascal's shot was a little bit difficult for Osorio to handle, but she handles it rather cleanly. It was dipping at the end, and she's able to catch it out of the air and clear it away. Now then, can the U.S. Virgin Islands break down this far side? There are numbers over. The early cross on the 1-2. Ease blocked away and cleared. Now, lovely through ball up the other end here. Oh, but Dominica take on the shot too early, and it's going to roll out of play. There could have been more to that, but Sango tries to shoot prematurely. There's been moments like that throughout the evening where you wondered if an extra touch, maybe a longer run was taken, could it have led to a more clear-cut, high-percentage look? "12 minutes plus stoppages left. This is Marshall playing it square for Tyson, who loses out. Challenger fends off Williams, follows up her own pass here and keeps it alive. Pascal cuts in field. It bounces back for Challenger, who could have shot that. It's blocked away. Then a great refeed onto this near side, Vaville. But then Vaville takes too firm of a touch in the final third and loses out. It bounces out for a throw into Dominica on the near side. Oh, and from the throw, Williams missed that, but so did Vaville, and it goes out of play. That was smart thinking by Dominica there. You can't be offside on a throw, so they took it quickly, but they needed a better bit of control on the back end. In the end, Williams maybe puts off Vaville there without realizing it, and that leads to it breaking down. Well, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. So many close calls, but in the end, many breakdowns in the final third when it matters the most. Little push and a chase here down the near side. How about Ardion's challenge there? Right on the money. Wins it back for the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's then poked forward, oh, and behind the intended target. Dominica get the ball back. Referee stops the play with 10 minutes of normal time left. I think there's a player down, injured away from the action. And actually, there might be two players down, injured. The substitute may have got caught on the surface there on her right leg. Great look by our crew there. Looked like her studs got caught on the surface as she tried to keep on running there. But it did look like there was a player down for the U.S. Virgin Islands, albeit briefly, away from the action as well. Members, stick around, still have one more game to go. Belize and the DR still to come. Those two teams, by the way, have never met at the Concacaf Women's Under-17 qualifiers as well. So a couple of first-time matchups here in Group A. And we've been at 2-0 for quite some time, I must say. Both of the goals from the U.S. Virgin Islands came very, very early in the game. 4th minute and the 7th minute. Since then, I must add, it's been chances nearly galore for both teams to change the scoreline. but we have stayed the same since that 7th minute goal from the captain from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Reagan Marshall. The more pressing concern, of course, is over the substitute when Della Auguste from Dominica may need to be helped off the field here, unfortunately. I do believe that Dominica still have one more change that they can use here if they need to bring their substitute off the field. This was the look we were talking about earlier. That right boot just gets caught there as she tries to land. It did not give way after the initial challenge was also a rather fierce one. So Wendella got possibly hurt not once but twice in the same action. It's like the conversation is still going on here as to how Dominica are going to handle this situation, whether they're going to bring on a substitute or not. Well, this would be such a rough way to end things for Dominica, particularly because this is their last game of these qualifiers. They're going to bow out after the full-time whistle here. The last thing you want to see is to have to go home with an injured player or two here. And of course, Rosalia Regis still has to make a decision as to whether or not to use that last available substitution. Well, we feel for Wendella Auguste here. We hope it is nothing too serious. There's the decision. She'll be taken out and replaced by a player that we did hint at coming on earlier, Carmia Frederick. Certainly could provide some much needed energy in the attacking third. And we send our best to Auguste as she bows out. That was Nunez, the substitute for the U.S. Virgin Islands, trying to move it forward. Pass across the halfway line is cut out. Now then, the U.S. Virgin Islands are back on the front foot. The run into the area is wonderful. Oh, it's a wonderful cutting through here. The pass is cut out. There was a faint penalty appeal in there after a weaving run. But of course, those appeals go unheard by the referee. That, however, is a trip, and it's going to be a foul and a free kick. Well, Hussey with the challenge there after a slalom run through the defense. The U.S. Virgin Islands settle for a set piece, but as we know, Reagan Marshall can be dangerous from these positions. And this late in the game, she could put a cherry on top if she could finish this off. And Dominica are going to build a pretty fortified wall here. 5 players in it. Marshall goes over the top, and it flies out of play. It's so tough to get it up and down from there. She expresses that frustration. Certainly got it over the wall, but it needs to come back down quicker than that. So tough to master that technique. is taken short. Nia Williams really fizzed it in there. Let Dominica clear it. Be a chance to break on this near side. Pascal. Played it up ahead for Frederick, who could not corral it. That's exactly why Frederick was brought into the game, to kind of fit into that role with Challenger up top. Try and make a little bit of magic happen. It did not work out there. And we're down to 2 minutes plus stoppage time left. The throw in from Williams. Great turn into space on this near side. The cross into the middle is missed, but it just rolls away. It's still not cleared. And the shot hits the outside of the netting and goes wide from the first goal scorer, Del Rosario. Oh, credit Celine Del Rosario here. Does not give up on the play, recovers it in time. Got a decent shot away, I must say, but Charles had it covered at her near post, and it goes wide. Del Rosario's pass into the middle is going to come up short. Into the 90th minute here in Managua. Pascal gets to it first for Dominica and cuts in field. And Williams, great challenge, steps in front. But Dominica still have it here. Lovely push and a chase into the penalty area. Oh, and the shot is just wide. Again, it tickles the outside of the twine. Hussey did so well to latch onto the end of this ball, but could not put it on target, and that might be the last big chance for Dominica tonight. On top of many. It fell really kindly for the captain. And I think she took it a little too far away from goal, made the angle tougher. Could not hit the target in the end. And that takes us into 3 additional minutes at the end of the 90. Charles clears it upfield. Nia Williams just continues to be at the right place at the right time for the U.S. Virgin Islands. And it falls for an opportunity here. This is Nunez picking up the pieces. Still Chloe Nunez looking for help. Finds Tyson. But Tyson cannot control it. Challenger wins it back. Pascal touched it last, it looked like. And it's a U.S. Virgin Islands throw. Well, we've seen an incredible effort from both of these teams, no questions about that. But it does appear that the early damage from the U.S. Virgin Islands is going to be enough to claim the victory. They'll get a free kick here, just under 2 minutes to play. Remember, the U.S. Virgin Islands have yet to beat a Caribbean team in these under-17 qualifiers. That would certainly change if they can hold on here. Nia Williams fizzed it in there. Pascal gets it back. Rolls out for a throw-in on the near side. Dominica's maybe last foray forward here. They'll settle for another throw-in on this near side. And yet again, in the final 30 seconds, is there time for one more chance? Challenger fighting on the byline with Williams. It's a goal kick. Once again, Williams slams the door shut. Put back into play quickly by Osorio. Williams sends it upfield. It is one back here. And it's a looping shot towards goal! And it's saved by Osorio. How about that? Whitney Charles put a charge into it. Osorio was able to pluck it out of the sky, and that is the last act. The U.S. Virgin Islands win it by 2-0. Dominica with a late surge at times in the second half, but the U.S. Virgin Islands, big credit to them. They hold on after being the better team in the first half. Dominica arguably with a better team in the second half, but Katie Quinlan's group get their first ever win over a Caribbean team in these qualifiers, and they have a chance to win out and get to 6 points here in Group A. Dominica bow out with a strong performance at times in this game, particularly in the second half. They really improved, but they could not find the clinical touches in the final third, and they could not score the goals to get back into the game. But it's a memorable day and a memorable win for the U.S. Virgin Islands. They will certainly be celebrating it into the Managua night. There's no questions about that. Thoroughly deserved for what they had to do defensively in the second half. And we'll highlight her again in the highlights, which are coming up in a moment. But Nia Williams really helped to anchor things down defensively towards the end of the game and was a big difference maker in seeing the U.S. Virgin Islands get this over the line at the end of the match. They really needed to buckle down defensively towards the end, and they did what was necessary to pick up not only their first goals of the tournament, Del Rosario and Marshall get the credit for those, but their first win and 3 very valuable points for them moving forward. That'll give them the world of confidence, by the way, going into their last game on February 1st, 2 days' time. They will play Belize here in Managua as Dominica will bow out. That also does mean, by the way, that Dominica officially finished bottom of the group. Let's dive right in. Full-time highlights here in Nicaragua between the U.S. Virgin Islands and Dominica. Again, the 2 goals that ended up being the decisive moments came in the first 7 minutes of the contest. Here's the first one. Celine Del Rosario, right place, right time off this ricochet, volleys it into the roof of the net inside the first 4 minutes of the contest. That was the first goal of the qualifiers for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Even she couldn't believe how good that finish was. Then Marshall gets the shot away, bounces over Augustine's outreach, and goes in. 7th minute, very quickly, 2-0 to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Then we get to some missed chances. Now, Dominica had a 1v1 there. That was a big missed chance. Then this was a great ball into the middle, miscued by Grotzinger. The follow-up clearance ricocheted out for a goal kick. Then Challenger brought down a free kick here. Dominica could not do much with it. Marshall had a couple of long-distance attempts throughout the game that were nearly scored. And then Pascal here, a one-woman wrecking crew, getting through multitudes of challenges, getting around the goalkeeper. No dice on the finish. That would take us into the second half, where, again, There were so many opportunities, really, for both teams to add on to the score sheet. Marshall put a great ball into the middle there. Tyson did not have the run timed up properly. Then there was the injury, I should say, when Della Aguis had to be removed from the game. That was so tough to see towards the end. Then again, Marshall wins the free kick, takes the free kick, skies it over the top. And then there was a late chance. Whitney Charles putting a shot on target late on. It was saved by Osorio, and that would be that. Full-time stats look like this. Shots were just about even for total shots and shots on target in the 90 minutes. That shows you how tight this game really was. Dominica had their opportunities to get back into it, but the clinical finishing early on from the U.S. Virgin Islands ends up being the difference maker, and they win it by 2-0 to get their first points on the board. That does it for our first game of our day-night doubleheader here in Group A. You look at the standings as it stands right now. The U.S. Virgin Islands jump up into 4th position. They could jump up even further, depending on how results go in our game later on tonight and the 2 games on February 1st. But for now, the Dominican Republic and Belize get ready to share center stage in our second game of the night in Group A. We will take a quick break, and we'll get to Game 2 here in Group A in just a few moments here in Managua. Full time in our first game, the U.S. Virgin Islands defeat Dominica by 2-0. We'll be back for Game 2 in just a few.